Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Weighing In Podcast. And man, my boy Angelo is having Thanksgiving with his family tonight, so he will not be joining us tonight. But hey, we're gonna have some good times, man. It should be fun. We'll have a great time. Geez, man, there's a lot to talk about. Normally, what we do on this Sunday night show is I normally do like a full who's next or what's next from Qatar. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about that. And we will I'll be talking about, who the main event should fight, every fighter on the main card, kind of who they should fight next. We'll talk a little bit about the Guru and the Mighty thing and, kind of where they're at. Obviously it sounds like it's on ice for right now. And I liked what DJ had to say. If you guys follow that at all, you guys can head over to Mighty's show and find out exactly what he said. But for me, it was good that he brought light to it, just kind of saying like, look, the controversial stuff, you can't change what somebody else is doing. Guru made his name from look. I know I earlier in the like when I did a kind of like a breakdown of all this with Angelo the other day. I have never seen a Guru show. Okay. And I bring up things that I've seen on like people have posted on social media or tagged me in and for X, and even Mighty Mouse talked about this. Like, I'm very rarely on X, and it's pretty much only just to post my content and get out. A lot. I mean, if you listen to like Rogan and Schaub and everybody else, that best thing to do really is to really just kind of post your stuff and bounce out. That's kind of the best thing to do. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now in that situation. And yeah, man, I think that's kind of like the best thing to do when you're talking about social media and the cancer that's kind of involved or it brings, especially when you're talking from the level that we're talking about. Like if you go through like our comment sections, man, and I know we have a lot of positivity in mind so far, but like I'd like to see more of it. If you're somebody who really like kind of follows the positivity and the in terms of the channel, I'd really love for you guys to start posting a little bit more in the comments, man. Getting after these guys that are being super negative. It's nothing to do with, I'd like to start changing the way that how this kind of goes. And it would be nice. So anyways, hopefully you guys are, following that a little bit. I look at how, let me connect this here. I look at how like Mighty seems to be, what's up guys? How you guys doing, man? I just turned on the chat. I had it turned off for a second. So, yeah, I look at how DJ handled it. I think DJ handled it great. I think a lot of people need to understand that a lot of his blowback didn't come from the fans. I'm sure there was people who were like, oh man, why are you doing a show with him? But the numbers don't lie. I was looking at some of DJ's responses and I saw some of their shorts that they've done, some clips that they've done. They were doing well into the 400,000 range, which is great numbers. But I think a lot of the blowback came from the athletes, people that are respected or people that respect DJ, as a former fighter, as someone they look to as like their peer. And I think that is one of the things that really kind of bothers people or bothers the athletes. Like, hey man, you're in our group, and why are you giving? Not saying you're giving this guy a huge platform, but you're giving him a platform and validating what he says about people that we can people that are your peers, people that you've probably trained with, or people that you've worked out with, the people you've interviewed with. All of those things, you're giving him a platform to continue to do what he does. I know he's made his career off of saying just outlandish things. And that's what sells these days. I think everyone can agree to that. That's exactly what sells these days when it comes to that. When it comes to just social media in general, you see it. You see it all the time. You see the negativity that sells. And it's the same thing on the news. It's no different from social media to the news platforms. So I guess for me, I look at it to try to get away from that type of stuff. DJ though, in their show, I had seen, like I said, I had seen some clips about Guru and people that had sent me. He had some words to say about me a couple times, and people would send it to me. And it doesn't really like affect, I think, what I do and what he does. Like I look at it as, and Scott Coker used to say this pretty well. And he's like, look, the UFC can have their business. When he had Strikeforce, he's like, and I have my business, and we can do two separate things. He's like, we're all putting on fights. He's like, we're just trying to put on the best fights and the most entertaining fights. And they can have their world and I can have my world. So it's you know what I mean? And that's one thing that you should, I think that's one thing that like I think people need to understand. Guru can have his crowd. Guru can have his influence over the people that follow his show, and that's good. I think that's great. Like I said, I've never seen one of his shows. I've just seen like clips that people have sent to me. And I think with DJ has his clips, and DJ has his platform that he built up by doing. I believe he's built it up by doing like video game stuff, and then now he's moved into doing other things. And the two of them joined. I think that, and I heard they did great numbers, amazing numbers. I'm not here to pick sides. Look, Guru's going to do his thing. Let him do his thing. I think look, freedom of speech is really what this country was built on, allowing him to do what he wants to do. Let the people follow him that want to follow him. I think that's great. Okay, I'm not here to try to cancel anyone. Okay, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not condoning people like trying to cancel Guru. That's not what I'm doing. And I'm also not condoning people trying to cancel DJ either. I'm just trying to give you guys the feed as it really comes into that DJ, I think, was getting the backlash from the peers, the fighters, the athletes, the coaches, the managers. It's like, hey, man, like you're in our group. You're someone that came from us. And it's just, I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I think he got a lot of backlash for that. Now, look, he said it's on ice for right now. Maybe they join back up. But I guess the question is for you guys, drop some stuff in the comments, man. Should they continue it? Should they say, hey, fuck cancel culture? And man, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, And if that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. But they're going to put it on hold for right now. But are they folding? Like, why are they not pushing through? I mean, these are all questions to be answered. Like, you let it simmer down and then you join back up later on. Neither one of them needs each other. That's pretty clear. I think Mighty's got like 1.1 or 1 point something million subscribers on his thing. Like he's doing just fine. I don't know what Guru has. I think Angelo had told me the other day he's got around 350 or 400, somewhere around there, which is a very high number. Guys that have been doing the pod for a while, and they've only got around, like for me, I've been doing about 6 years. We've been doing the pod, and we're only at 125,000, 126,000. We have a clips channel that has another 20,000, I think. So, we've got two different channels, but it's spread out still only at 150,000, somewhere around there. So, look, I haven't seen a show that they've done together because I've been doing a lot of my live stuff too at the same time, breaking down fights, especially during like the pay-per-views. I haven't seen their shows. But look, if they do great content and people obviously want to watch it, I see no reason for them to stop it if they don't want to. If they're going to allow people to, if Guru is going to continue to do his show the way he is, and DJ is going to continue to do his show the way he is, it's kind of up to them on what they want to do. It sounds like they're going to put it on ice for right now, maybe try to rejoin later back together. We'll see. Hey, man, to each their own. People are going to say things. I choose not to associate myself with with people that talk the way that he does during his shows. Whether because is he really that way? And I think DJ made a good comment, or he made, I don't want to say an argument. He just kind of said like, hey, he's not that way around me. And I understand that. That's kind of like, a lot of people have talked about Colby Covington. Now, he's not that way around other people as well. He let his persona take over. I can tell you from hanging around with Chael Sonnen and working with Chael Sonnen for years, he is not the way you guys see on camera. He's a great individual, and he's a great individual on camera as well. But he's just a good person, man. I enjoy hanging around with Chael. Chael's not what everyone thinks he is. And that goes for a lot of guys that I've been around. Josh Koscheck, Phil Baroni. Like Phil's in a lot of trouble right now, but Phil, when I knew him, had a big heart, man, a really big heart. It was, and the same thing with Koscheck. Koscheck was always, a great person to me. He lived with me for a couple of years. Phil Baroni lived with me for years. They rented a room for me at my house for years. Koss was with me for about 3 years. People hated Koss, but who people are, like, that's where I kind of stand with, not stand, but I understand where DJ's coming from. He's met with him. He's hung out with him. I think he's done a show together with him. Like they know each other. So I understand where DJ is coming from. It's just up to him on whether they want to continue to run their pod together. Sounds like they're going to put it on hold. That being said, I mean, it might be the right decision, but I can just guarantee you this. If it was just the fans giving him a hard time, there's no way DJ would have canceled this. There's no way that Guru and DJ would have sat down and been like, hey, let's just put this on hold. The fan, like the more people that hate you or love you, the more they talk about you, the more you get views and watches. So that being said, yeah, like that would mean that they would never cancel. But like I said, I really believe that it is the athletes, it's the managers, it's the coaches, it's the trainers, it's all of them that have come in like, hey man, you're giving this guy, you're validating him because of who you are. And the people were getting upset. I think athletes were getting upset, fighters were getting upset, people that he has interviewed and talked to and trained with. And I think that's where a lot of the backlash, because people you respect, that's the problem. Like, that's the thing. If I respect somebody and somebody talks bad about me, or somebody talks bad about them, I'm going to tell you to your face, like, hey man, I'm not the guy to talk to about that. That's how I am. And a lot of that, to be honest, is how I got the nickname The Punk. Is people would come to me and complain to me about somebody else in our gym or somebody else that I knew. And I'd be like, hey man, I'm friends with them. You got a problem with them, you talk to them. Like, I'm not trying to hear it. You guys work out your stuff and then we come back and talk. We come back and you can come and talk to me afterward. So look, good on them if they're, whatever they're doing. I saw DJ's response and I felt like he clarified a little bit of things, and good on him, man. In terms of the Francis Ngannou conversation and the Francis Ngannou talk, and I was listening to Morning Combat a little bit, and I just saw a highlight clip of it of Luke. He brought up a good point as well, and Luke basically said, that Francis is. People need to understand that with Francis, if you want to call him a bad guy for putting his hands on Dana White, I can see that. And that's kind of where I drew the line. But if you want to call him a bad guy because he's hard to deal with in negotiations, that's different. With Francis, I don't consider him a bad guy just because he is difficult to deal with in negotiations. And that is something that, like, there needs to be a separation between the two. It's never going to be easy to sit down with, whether it's Dana White, Joe Silva, Sean Shelby, whoever it was. I dealt directly with Joe Silva and with my manager, and he was pretty smooth to deal with. But when it came down to the nickels and dimes, like, hey, one extra, hotel room, or, one extra flight, or that's where he got offended. Like, no, we're not doing this. Like, you're not going to get this little bit of stuff out of it. Like, he was very difficult to deal with. But when you have someone like Francis, who is a heavyweight, there's not as many heavyweights. Lightweights are a dime a dozen. Like, Joe Silva would be like, hey man, like, I got 15 other lightweights that can replace you, just like replace anybody else in the top 15. Doesn't matter. Like, he just didn't, like, that's how Joe was. I mean, I've seen the way he's talked to multiple guys. I mean, the way he talked to me about Anthony Johnson when I was trying to help manage Anthony Johnson a little bit. And Anthony didn't make weight. Man, he had some very harsh words. So, but that was Joe Silva. And I can imagine that if you have a heavyweight like Francis, who looks the part, has power, his fights are either really entertaining in terms of knockouts. I mean, the way he almost decapitated Alistair Overeem. I mean, he snapped his head all the way back. The back of his skull touched his spine. It was nasty. And so that are the type of heavyweights that the UFC has always tried to cater to. They've always tried to bend over backwards for those heavyweights. So I could see Francis possibly being like, hey, I've got all the answers. I've got the power. I've got the look and the build. I've got a good story, and that is something that the UFC could use as a marketing tool. I just, when I look at it, I think to myself, I go, he probably was difficult to deal with. And by being difficult to deal with, it could have been very difficult, almost like as if he was aggressive, that he was not a kind person. That that's how they'll always portray it. If you're the promoter, if you're the UFC, you're going to promote it like you're going to portray it as, yeah, he did this, he did that, he's not a good person. That's not the case, you know. But I did like what Luke had to say. There's a difference between like, hey, he put his hands on me in the office, and that to me that's not okay. Doesn't matter who it is. But where it does get a little dicey is that it's the separation between negotiations and that being considered not being a good person because you're hard to deal with, because you don't fall in line like the rest of the people that you have to work with there, or that you are working with, other fighters that you can control, and you can belittle their abilities by saying like, oh, well, you didn't do this, oh, you didn't do that. And that's where I've seen that happen several times. I've seen fighters that have left the UFC and they chose to leave, and then the report comes out, the UFC says that they cut them. And they're like, no, they literally left for more money. It wasn't that they cut them. They could have stayed and made made a fraction of what they were making, or like there's a reason, there's reasons why, like Anthony Pettis, former champion, ended up leaving, going to PFL for a couple fights. Other fighters have left and gone. I've been Shane Burgos. He left and went to the PFL for some fights. Sergio Pettis left, and went to Bellator. Like Brian Bader left. I mean, they had money left on the table. They could have stayed, but they chose to take the cash. But then when the release comes out as, oh yeah, we cut them. That's not true. And so that's why, I guess what I'm getting at is, promoters have a way of flipping the script. Dana has a very good way of doing it. He flips the script and say like, yeah, we cut them. Or he's very difficult to deal with. He asked for too much. Literally could have been like, he wanted an extra hotel room, or he wanted, one extra flight. Yeah, they just don't want to do that. So, hey guys, drop your questions down below in the chats. Hit me up. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I'm just here to chat with you guys on a Sunday night. I think a lot of shows are going to slow down during this week because of Thanksgiving. So I got a show for you guys tomorrow as well. I got another Tuesday Night Live with we're going to be having Drew Dober on. I'm going to have Angelo on with me, so the three of us will be doing the show. That'll be a good show. And then you guys can see my questions up on the front. Should Arman be next for Ilya? And should Mighty and Guru continue? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should the Mighty Pod, or is it called the Guru or the Mighty Guru? Should that continue? Should they just say, hey, fuck the cancel culture, let's go ahead and let's just keep doing it? Huh? Should they go on? That's a question for all you guys. Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Should they continue? And then should Ilya be next? Should the UFC force Ilya to fight Arman Tsarukyan next? Should he have to defend that before going up to 170 to fight maybe Islam? I mean, that's the question I think a lot of people want to know. Excuse me. So, yeah, there's a lot of things. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about, who's next and what's next for these guys from Qatar. I'll talk about the main card fighters. You've got Arman Tsarukyan. I think it's pretty clear as day. There's only one fight really to make there. Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria is really the only matchup I see. And does Ilya try to go up before he fights Arman? And in no way, let's make this clear. In no way is he ducking Arman. He just knows that the big money fight is to fight Islam. And he feels like he has the chance and the opportunity to beat Islam. So to leave one weight class, a lighter weight class at 155, and then to go up to 170 to fight the champion there, who's also a wrestler. In no way is he leaving the lighter weight class to avoid a wrestler to go up to fight potentially a better wrestler at a higher weight. So let's make that clear. He's not avoiding Arman Sarukian. He's saying, hey, if I fight Arman or I fight Islam, which one gets me the bigger numbers of views? And it will absolutely be Islam. But does the UFC do that? Knowing that there's more fights for Islam up there that he can be challenged at. You have Kamaru Usman. I'm going to keep throwing his name out there. I know a lot of people in the comments are going to give me hate on that. There's going to be a lot of hate thrown that way. Kamaru Usman is just talented in terms of the wrestling. He's got good straight strikes, good boxing. Difficult, obviously, to take down. I think his only takedown has been against Leon Edwards in the first round. Outside of that, and he had some takedowns, by Chimaev. Chimaev took him down at will in that first, round and a half. But there's fights out there, man. There's fights out there that for Islam in that 170-pound division. I guess if I'm the UFC, my concern is, does Ilya go up? And it's just say, if he does win, like, what the fuck do you do with them? Do you have him stay there and then you have him fight Kamaru Usman, or do you have him fight JDM? Like, do you, knowing that he's that much smaller? Let's say he's able to catch Islam, and he does beat him. And people keep looking at what is that? Mamo? Let me see. Let me read your name. Mom's 316, Meza 2. Yeah, bro. Like, you're saying, I'm gonna show it. You're saying that he's washed, I believe. Whoops. Oops, that's the wrong one I selected. It keeps moving. People keep saying that Arman's washed. I'm not going to say that he's washed. He just beat a younger Buckley, and I know Buckley's not a mainstay wrestler, but he's explosive, difficult. He shut him down. He shut him down completely. So I'm not going to say he's washed. I think he deserves more credit than that. So, I mean, if you want to put it like, I'd love to see like JDM and Ilya, because it's going to be just a stand-up boxing match. But there's fights to be made for Islam in that division. But I think, look, let's stay with the on task here. Arman Sarukian versus Ilya Topuria, to me, is the only fight to make. Saw a lot of people saying, hey, that Paddy Pimblett looked a little slimmer than he normally does. And they feel like that fight's going to be announced probably in January. And if he gets a win over Paddy, then they'll probably try to make the fight Ilya versus Islam in on the White House card, which would be insane. That's a fight that, like, I didn't think it would be there, but I think, like I said, Dana cleared up. He had some clarifications for it. Does it have to be like an American, versus the world? And he's like, no, it doesn't have to be that. He's going to, I think, put the best card on that for the White House for Donald Trump. The best fight you can possibly make will be Ilya versus Islam on that card. I do think that Ilya is going to defend his title one time. And by him doing that, it'll be against someone like Paddy. That is a big fight. That will get a lot of people's attention. You have all of the UK, and then you have, Spain and Georgia, and you get the fan base. You get the fan base riled up. Yeah, it's there, man. There's a lot to be had there. That'll sell. So I don't know. It's that I don't think there's any other fight to make than Arman and Ilya. I don't think I keep wondering if it's going to be Paddy first because of the money draw, and they want to try to get him a win. And then you can set up a super fight at the White House for Islam and Ilya Topuria if Ilya can get past Paddy. It will definitely be interesting. Definitely be interesting. Meanwhile, what do you do with Arman? What do you do with him? And then as far as Dan Hooker goes, I think, Dan Hooker had he did an interview with a buddy of his, And I loved actually one of the call outs that he had. He had a call out of Moicano. He's like, we both suck. Let's just both of us fight. Okay. I'm not mad at that fight. I'll take that fight. I'd love that fight. I also like Benoit Saint Denis and Dan Hooker. I like that fight as well. That's a great fight. I can't, I mean, between them and Moicano, I'll take both those fights. Either one. You give me Saint Denis versus Dan Hooker, and you give me Moicano versus Dan Hooker, I'll take it. Take it all day. I want to get Dan a win. I can't say whether he'll beat either one of those guys, but I'm saying I'd like to get Dan a win so we can potentially put him somewhere in that mix to eventually fight Max Holloway for the BMF title. That guy has had some of the best wars and the best fights in the organization in the last 3 or 4 years. I would love to see him get the credit he deserves. I'd love to see him throw down with somebody you know is going to stand and trade and not try to wrestle him. That's what I would love to see. So that's the fight I believe. Those are the fights that I think. Who do you guys think that Armand should, or not Armand, but Dan Hooker should fight next? Who? I have Armand and Ilya, and we'll see if that fight comes to fruition. And then I've got Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis or Moicano. I love the Moicano call out by Dan Hooker. I love the way he presented it too. Like, we both suck, and he's a character. I like that. I love Moicano. Moicano had some crazy things to say too. He's another one that walks the line in the things that he says about fighters. I try not to hate on fighters, man. I try not to. So I try to give them as much love as I possibly can. And I think they deserve it. So those are the fighters that I believe deserve it. So, I think the ones that go out there and lay it on the line every single time, those are the fighters that I think deserve it. So we got a super chat. Dustin Kilburn, let me go ahead and highlight you here, buddy. Let me give you some love. I want to thank you so much for the super chat. It says right here, thoughts on MVP and Paul contracts having specifics for fights, like a guaranteed purse should A, B, or C happen, or a penalty should A, B, or C happen. Look, that's pretty common in most of these super fights that are put together. I mean, shit, Floyd Mayweather had all these little restrictions when he fought Manny Pacquiao, when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. He's like, look, everyone's coming for my O. Everyone wants to fight me because they want to beat me because I'm an undefeated fighter. Well, with Jake Paul, he has a great connection and a great platform that he's built up over the years, and Netflix sees it. They see the results, and that's what's going to sell. And if he can go to Anthony Joshua, I got to give him kudos. I got to give him kudos for even taking this fight. You're insane. I remember when I was a kid, people used to run around going, hey man, would you fight Mike Tyson for 1 round for $1 million? And I'd be like, oh yeah, hell yeah. As I get older, I'm like, fuck no. Mike Tyson back then would have just slaughtered me. There's no way I would have made it a whole round. It's insane. Anthony Joshua, did you see them at the face-offs? They did like the presser, this little presser, this meet and this face-off. He's like Jake Paul was looking into his chest, like his nose and his eyes were like chest level. It's crazy. I was like, this is finally like you went from from fighting 135 pounder in Tank to fighting this monster, this gargantuan motherfucker. I was like, holy shit. I got to tip my hat. I got to literally go, hey, I tip my hat to you. I don't know if it's smart. None of us are going to know until we actually see it. If you go out there and get it done. And I said this the other day, if he goes out there and just drops him, if he goes out there and just like hits him, drops him, rocks him, any of those things, he's won. Not that he's won the fight, but he's won. And what I mean by he's won is that, like, you take a look at what happened with Francis Ngannou. He got right into the rankings because he dropped Tyson Fury and he lost. What do you think is going to happen? If Jake Paul lands a shot against Anthony Joshua and stuns him or rocks him or any of those things, he's going to blow up. Everyone's going to believe like he's legit. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm like, damn. In terms of the stipulations, that's common. Everybody, that's common. Happens all the time. Dustin, that was your super chat. I want to thank you for the $5. Yeah, that's common. Happens all the time. They always have this, like, there is a restriction. Anthony Joshua can't come in over 145 or 245. He can't weigh more than 245 because I think Jake Paul's walking around 220, 218, 220. And so he said, nope, you can't come in at you can't come in over 245, which is fair. I respect that. You know, heavyweights don't ever have to cut weight, so not like he has to cut a lot. I mean, his last fight, he walked into the ring at 252, I believe. Yeah, Andrew Nance, 95-85. My Chiefs won today. Let's go in an overtime thriller. They needed that to beat the Colts. And then obviously I just got done watching the Dallas Cowboys game. I live here just north of Dallas, and everyone is on pins and needles, man. Anytime the Dallas Cowboys can beat the Eagles, this town gets everyone walks around with a smile on their face the next day. I'm a Chiefs fan, which is crazy. I didn't know this till I moved here. Is that Lamar Hunt, the guy who owns the Kansas City Chiefs, his father, I believe, had the very first football team here. I think it was in the AFL, the American Football League. They were called the Rangers, I believe. And they eventually moved them to Kansas City and became the Kansas City Chiefs. And so like the Chiefs owners are actually from Dallas. They're from the Dallas area. They go to church right down the road from my house. They're at church almost every Sunday morning early, unless they have an early game and they go. But yeah, they're pretty much at church all the time right down the street from my house. Seen them a couple times in church. Yeah, I've been a Chiefs fan since I was really young. I love the Kansas City Chiefs. I can finally cheer. I mean, we're not having a great year this year, but as long as we make the playoffs, I'll be good. Yep, Kareem Hunt, shout out. Give him some love. He played a hell of a game today. And the Bears, did they get it done today? Did they win today against the Steelers? Yeah, there we go. Who's this? X2 May 374. Hey, I love the Chiefs, man. Been a long time Chiefs fan for a long time. Only reason why I'm not Meat Rocket Nance. You're a Redskins fan. Meat Rocket 6979. I like the Redskins when they had the old logo. I think it's a bunch of shit that they changed it. Drives me crazy. I hope they change it back. The NFL says they won't, but I think it's dumb. The actual Chiefs tribe, or not the Chiefs tribe, but the Redskins, like whoever that original artwork was designed around, they actually filed a petition to have it changed back, which I thought was greatest. Oh, my very first, here we go. Crypto, or is it Gripphony 129? My very first jersey I ever bought, Chiefs jersey, very first one I ever bought was a Priest Holmes jersey. That was my very first jersey I ever got. Love Priest Holmes. I'm a huge Jamal Charles fan. Out of all the running backs we ever had, Jamal Charles is my all-time favorite. If you guys know his story, he grew up with like a speech impediment, kind of struggled as a kid in school. You know, he went to University of Texas, won like national championships in sprinting, and I mean, just the state championships as well as in sprinting and football. He's just a great person. Gives so much money to his community. Does a lot of great work within his community. Man, love hearing that. My least favorite running back that we've ever had is, and I met him in person several times, did some charity events with him as well, is Marcus Allen, man. Just a sleazeball. Just met him, my personal experience. Just not the business. So, yep, that was it for me. I was like, damn. So, oh man. What else? So let me go ahead and move on to this. And then we got Ian Gary. I'm gonna move on to. Sorry, we just got off track talking about football. You guys got me reading the comments. So, yeah, Jamal Charles was a dog, man, at UT. Yep. Who's this? Let me put this up. I'll put this one up too. It says right here, is Big John coming back on the podcast at least for one or two big? Look, this is the problem: is you have when refs are reffing and they're involved like on a weekly basis, especially if they're in the bigger promotions like the PFL and the UFC, they're told that it's probably best you don't do a podcast or you're not involved with the podcast like that. The reason being, it ends up, you can say controversial things and they don't want that to be publicized and used against you to make their fighters, make their sport, make their promotion look bad. So he probably will not be back until after he's done reffing. Look, I give him 2 years of reffing and I think he'll be tired of it. I think he's trying to enjoy his time while he still can be up and mobile and moving around, and he is getting a little bit older. So yes, Tony Gonzalez was the man. I was so sad when he left. And he did so well for Atlanta. I was just really, really upset when he left. All right, hey guys, let's go ahead and let's continue on with who's next or what's next. Ian Gary Machado. Look, I think honestly, people keep saying, and I've seen other people, and I even had Alan Juban on the other day, and he goes, "Hey, I think it'd be Ian Gary versus Islam." I'm like, how can you say that? There's just no way. There's other guys that are more worthy. I mean, I would say Michael Morales is more worthy than him. My voice just cracked in the middle of that, by the way. I'd say Michael Morales is more worthy than him. Ian Gary has 5 fights, I believe, and all 5 of them went the distance, and he has the loss to Shavkat. So in his last 5 fights, he's 4-1. Great wins, but he's 4-1, 4 decisions, I believe is what it is. Where you have Michael Morales, who's got the knockouts. I think he's got like 3 or 4 knockouts in his last like 6 fights or something like that. And he's undefeated. I can sell that to the fans. I can sell Ian Gary too, by the way. I can sell Ian Gary. I love Shavkat. My thing with Shavkat is the inactivity. No one's heard from him in 18 months. If you're the promotion, you're like, I got to get you 1 win. So I have some recent footage of you, I have to. There's nothing I can do. Their hands are tied. They need more. They need recent footage. They need to put you back into the fresh minds of all the fans. And if they can't do that, then they're going to have to match you up. I don't think you're going to have, like, this is how it works if you're a promoter. Shavkat is undefeated. They're not going to try to get him beat. They want to get him to the title undefeated. Same thing with Michael Morales. They want to get him to the title undefeated. They will not match them up against somebody that potentially can beat them. They'll give them tough fights because everyone at the top is tough. But stylistically, they're going to give them somebody that they feel like, okay, look, they should have the advantage in this fight. So if I'm the UFC, I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, I have Ian Gary. I would match him against to give him one more fight. He needs one more fight to get to the title. Ian Gary versus JDM. That puts him as the number 1 person no matter what. He's got a loss to Shavkat. Right now, I believe he's ranked. He'll end up being tomorrow when they readjust the rankings. He'll be ranked below Shavkat because he's got a loss to Shavkat just 2 fights ago. So how can I put him above? Shavkat? The inactivity, but I mean, look, I look at Michael Morales. I look at JDM. JDM just be losing the title most recently. Let me pull up these rankings. Yeah, you've got Islam at the top. You got Jack Della Maddalena in 1. Bilal is number 2. He will drop. Bilal is going to drop 3 spots, probably maybe even 4. And I think Pratis, Shavkat, Morales all going to be above Bilal. But I think Ian Gary is going to be like number 3 or 4. Morales will be ranked ahead of him. JDM will be ranked ahead of him. And Shavkat will be ranked ahead of him. So he'll be ranked number 4 probably. Or he'll be ranked number 4. Ian Gary will. And Bilal will drop below Ian Gary. I don't think they're going to give, because you're not going to have Michael Morales he's undefeated and he's looked so good. He's young. Let me tell you guys, I was scheduled to fight Anthony Pettis, who was 26 years old or 27 years old when he won the title against Benson Henderson. They scheduled me to fight him for the UFC title. He got put on the Wheaties box. A week after he got put on the Wheaties box, they called me and said, "Oh, he's hurt." They want time to market and develop those athletes. They want time to really put a story behind them. That's what they want. And so that being said, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I look at it and I think to myself, like, that is definitely a fighter. Michael Morales is definitely a fighter that they would do that for. Undefeated. I didn't realize this. Someone was telling me the other day. His mom or his dad, I think his mom or whatever, is like a judo national champion. And he's like a multiple time Ecuadorian like wrestling champion. So that being said, like, there's a storyline to be had there. It's a good storyline. He's young. He's like 26 years old, I believe. So I take Ian Gary. I have him fight Usman. I have him fight Kamaru Usman for the number 1 contender spot. Or I have him fight JDM. Sorry, not Usman. I wouldn't have him fight Usman. I have him fight JDM. I'd have him fight JDM. I'd put JDM and Ian Gary together. That's the fight to make. That's my honest opinion. If Islam is not going to fight Ilya, then I think Kamaru Usman, because he is to me, it looks at, like, I look at him as he's huge for the weight. That's 1. 2 is that he can wrestle with Islam. He will give him a very tough fight in the wrestling department. Will they wrestle? Will they not? And on the stand-up, Usman's boxing is pretty damn good. Not much of a kicker. We can say that. Doesn't knee very well. But in the boxing, he's got some power. No one ever did that to George Masvidal. He throws straight punches right down the pipe. He was standing for pretty much a lot of the fight, that third fight when he fought Leon Edwards. Took him down, made him get back up, and then stood. He was standing with him, hanging with him until he got kicked. But yeah, I think that's the fight. I think that's the fight to make. Ian versus JDM, and you either go Michael Morales or Kamaru Usman against Islam. You want to strike while the iron's hot. Shavkat will not be. I think Shavkat's going to end up having to get one fight in before he gets a title shot. It could be Carlos Pratis. Could be. That's a fight to be had there. Pratis and Shavkat could be a fun fight. Take a look. We have another. Oh, there we go. From Yi Neeker 2337, it says Ian should be next, in my opinion. Has the best wins, especially after beating Canelo hands. Canelo, that was a nice little jab, though. By the way, Canelo hands. Look, Ian got hit by Bilal quite a bit. Canelo hands got through. They got through a little bit. He tried to shake it off like it was no big deal. That means that it was a big deal. It means that they landed clean. So I don't think Ian should be next. I think he's got to fight JDM. I think you take the undefeated fighters and you put them ahead of him. You put Michael Morales ahead of him. You put Shavkat ahead of him, who just beat him 2 fights ago. I think that's the fight. That's the fight to make. One of those 2 guys, Shavkat or Michael Morales. If it's not Ilya. The UFC, look, what the UFC loves is to have options. They have options right now. That 170-pound division, the welterweight division right now, is fire. Tell me what other division right now in the sport is this exciting? I was looking at some of these other weight classes. I'm like, good God, the 205-pound division. Ugh, it's like the same rinse, wash, repeat. Let me read it off to you. You have Ankalaev, who I think is a good fighter. Yuri Prochazka, very fun, entertaining fighter. Carlos Olberg, good fighter. You know, everyone else below that has been in the division for a while. Khalil Roundtree, Jan Blachowicz, Jamal Hill, Dominic Reyes, Volkan Ozdemir, you know, Rakic, like those guys. Rakic is ranked number 10. I think he's coming off like 2 or 3 knockouts in a row. Look, he's got 3 losses. He's still ranked number 10. I mean, some of these divisions, like we've seen these guys in these divisions, no new blood is making their run into the into the weight class, into that top 10 position. So I look at when you have the welterweight division where it is right now, they've got to step very carefully on how they're going about this, because two undefeated guys are not going to fight each other unless it's for the title. So right now it's going to end up being Islam. You know, it's going to end up being Islam versus, you know, somebody else. So it's going to be Ilya. It's going to be Kamaru Usman, or I believe it's going to be Michael Morales. They love that undefeated fighter talk. Can sell that. Can sell that for sure. Got another super chat. Oh, by the way, Neeker 2337. Thanks for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Shred, what does it say? Shred Dead said, thanks for the $5 super chat. It says, Ilya ducking. How can you call Ilya a duck when he's chasing the harder fight in Islam at 170? I just talked about this earlier. It says Islam is number 1 pound for pound and beat Arman, who has never been champ. Islam is the number 1 pound for pound. Look, I don't think that I made this clear. I don't think he's ducking him. He's going to the money fight. That's not ducking. That's making a good business decision. Not just me. I think everyone has kind of started saying this, is that they would like to see him fight a top level number 1 ranked fighter who is on a win streak and that has wrestling. The ones that he has beaten. I did this the other day. I don't know. Let me pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But I did this the other day and I was looking it over and I was like, wait a second. This can't be true. And it is. All these, and here we go. Right here. Islam's last wins. JDM, 18-fight win streak. Volkanovski, 22-fight win streak. Oliveira, 11-fight win streak. In comparison to Topuria's best wins. Oliveira, 1-fight win streak. Max Holloway, 3-fight win streak. Volkanovski, 1-fight losing streak. What I'm trying to say is, in the best way I can say it, without trying to be rude, it's a lot easier to beat a fighter coming off of a loss than it is to beat a fighter who's on a 10, 11-fight win streak. Tony Ferguson was a fucking dog when I fought him. He was riding high. He was on like an 8-fight or 7-fight win streak or something like that when I fought him. He was a dog. He felt unbeatable. He felt like he could do no wrong inside that cage. Those are the difficult fighters to beat. Those are the motherfuckers that give you the hardest time. Those ones, those guys dig deep. Those are the ones like, man, I've worked so hard. Their confidence is all-time high. Anytime you're fighting somebody who is on a multiple fight win streak, 5, 6 fight, especially up into like 9 and 10, JDM, 18-fight win streak. That's insane. Volkanovski, 22-fight win streak until he lost to Islam. Those are the toughest guys to beat. Look at the way that Volkanovski fought Islam in the first fight. He was out there without a care in the world. That guy was just happy to be there. He loves it. He was soaking it all in. He knew he had nothing to lose other than just lose his win streak. He was also the pound for pound number 1 guy in the world. Oliveira, 11-fight win streak. And then he goes out there. Islam went out there and subbed him. So no, I don't think that Ilya Topuria is ducking him. He's running to the money fight. He's running to the harder, more difficult fight. That's not a duck that he's leaving and not fighting Sarukian. It's just that there is a chance that he could lose that fight. And why take that chance? If he loses that fight, he loses the money fight. It's no different than John Jones basically retiring. They called it ducking. I didn't call it ducking. I just thought like Jones at a point in his career where he doesn't want he wants to pick his fights. Older fighters, we've put in so much work, like you feel like you have the right to pick the fights that you want. You want to fight certain fighters. Makes sense. I've been a company guy for so long. Let me fight this guy. Let me get this fight. I deserve it. That's kind of where we're at right now, I think. Like I think those guys are like, hey man, like I really want to just fight. I want to fight the guys that motivate me. When you get into that 36, 38 years old, right? Like with Ilia Topuria, he's on a mission. He's undefeated. He's won the featherweight title. He won the lightweight title. I would like to see him defend the lightweight title one time before he goes to 70. But I don't think he needs to. I think, he's commanded enough respect, I think, from a lot of people. I don't think he needs to defend it. It would be nice. That's the way I look at it. But he's so damn good. I mean, I don't blame the UFC if they pumped him right up there to fight Islam. I wouldn't blame him. In no way am I knocking him for that. He is not ducking Arman Sarukian. Although I love Arman's video of him chasing the duck around. Come here, Ilya. Come here. It's okay, Ilya. I'll make it go fast. It was pretty good. That was pretty good. I just think that he understands that he could lose, and he could lose in a way that also too doesn't leave any room for like, oh, he just got held down and got taken down and controlled and dominated. Like that makes it even worse. Like, what do you think Islam would have done to you? Then all the naysayers, fans will just come out of the woodwork going, oh, he sucked anyways. We knew this is why we didn't want to see that fight, or that's why he should have stayed. Like, yeah, all that stuff is going to come out. People are going to talk. So I look at that and I think, yeah, man, like I think to myself, like the fight, if I'm the UFC, I would like to see Ilya fight Arman Sarukian. But I also would really like to see the Islam fight as well. Because there's the two of them, especially Ilya, has carried the promotion over the last 6 months with all this Islam talk. It's really kind of kept the promotion talked about. I think it's huge. Ilya's done a good job. It's Conor-esque, I guess you could say. It's not Conor-like. It's just Conor-esque, has like little things that remind us of Conor. But I don't know. I look at it and, I don't know. I look at it and I think to myself, man, I think that Arman and Ilya should fight, get that fight done and out of the way. And then I think Islam gets back after Ramadan. You set that fight up. Islam did his part. He won the welterweight title. You get one title defense out of Ilia Topuria, whether it's Patty, it should be Arman, but you're going to get more backlash if it ends up being Patty Pimblett. But that fight will do huge numbers. That fight's going to do more numbers than, I love you guys there. X2 May 374. Uncle Josh, I love it. It's funny. I was with Islam and people were commenting, oh, he calls me Joshua. And that's my real name, is Joshua. It's funny because like, oh, he calls you Joshua. It's just funny. It makes me laugh, man. Things like this can be. Josh started MMA in around the early 90s. Yeah, I did. I started in 96, like 95, 96, end of 95, I think. Middle of 95, I started MMA. Started training jiu-jitsu, a little bit of kick, Muay Thai, that type of thing. And then, okay, now what else do we do? So we've talked about, what do we do with Bilal now? We've talked about Ian Gary. What do we do with Bilal? So for me, Bilal coming off 2 losses, losing the title, and then now losing against Ian Gary. I think you put him against Sean Brady. I want to see that rematch. Let's see that rematch right now. Both of them coming off losses. One of them needs to get a win. Keep him in that top 5, top 6. See what happens. X2 May 374. Yeah, you weren't even. You weren't born yet. In 96, you weren't born? Damn, I'm old. Jeez, I'm old. Michael Beal, thanks for being a member, man. Thanks for joining being a member, bud. Appreciate you. I know we had some other people that joined up here at the top. Want to say thank you guys for being members as well. So welcome to the fam. Welcome everyone. And yeah, Let me get into these as well. So what do you do with Bilal? Who do you guys think Bilal should fight? I think Bilal should end up fighting either Sean Brady or Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley's still young enough, very exciting. Canelo hands and Bilal Muhammad. I could see him standing with Joaquin Buckley, wrestling a little bit. Joaquin's not easy to take down. Very explosive, big power, fun fight to watch, fun fighter to watch. Bilal is not a big 170 pounder. He's thick, but he's not big. Buckley's shorter in stature. He fought at 85 for a long time. He's now at 70 for a bit. I like to see the Buckley and Bilal fight, or I like to see the Sean Brady and Bilal fight again. I want to see that fight again. I did actually think about the Bilal and Pratis fight. I did think about that fight, to be honest. But I want to also remind you guys, I don't want to see Pratis lose. There is a chance that Bilal will take him down and control him. And then what have you done to Pratis's, ceiling? You've killed it a little bit. If he does lose, you've killed it. So I'd rather have Bilal versus Colby Covington would be great. I love that fight as well. Dark Sagan or whatever. Yeah, I love that fight as well. Bilal can't make 155. So those are things to consider. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple more of these super chats. It says right here, it says, let me see here. Degenerate Combat Sports Podcast. It says right here, Charles Jourdain versus Topuria thoughts. Let me get down to Topuria at the end. Let me get through this. Who's next? And I'll give you guys some talk on this. Sorry. Let me get down through the rest of this. So I had Volkan Ozdemir. I have him fighting Zhang. I think him and Zhang would be a great fight. Ozdemir, I think, is ranked number 8 coming down. I think you go a little bit lower, you fight down in the rankings. I think that'd be a good fight for him. Is you fight Zhang. Zhang's like shorter in stature, got a big build, aggressive on the feet. The two of them would make for a very good fight. I'd like to see that fight. And Menafield, I think you give him Johnny Walker. They've already fought before, and let's just see that fight again. Both of them, like Walker's coming off, I think, a couple losses, I think. And let's see Menafield. Menafield coming off that loss as well. This is where it gets interesting. Because with Oralby, I look and I think, okay, he's not in the rankings. It's his first time up at welterweight. Had a great performance with a knockout over an older Jack Hermanson. Who do you have him fight? I say, okay, well, I think for matchup-wise, I probably have him fight someone like a D-Rod. D-Rod's a little bit older. D-Rod's going to bring it on the feet. He's not going to really try to wrestle at all. Oralby may try to get some takedowns, but he will probably stand and trade a little bit. But I think between the two of them, you end up having a really good fight. A really good fight. And if I go on with Hermanson, I think he's predominantly mainly like not wrestler, but like grappler at the welterweight division. Give him an older guy. Give him like a Ponzinibbio or the number one guy that I wanted him to fight. I don't even know if he's still even with the UFC, to be honest, is Gunnar Nelson. I haven't heard Gunnar Nelson's name in a long time. But I'd like to see Gunnar Nelson versus Jack Hermanson at 170 pounds. Welterweight fight. Let's see that fight. I think they would both oblige, to keep, to grapple a little bit in that fight. So that's a great fight. You got Cortez Acosta coming off a huge knockout. Huge. But why don't we have him fight? Let me see this real quick. I got to make sure because I haven't seen. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I got to see real quick. Cortez Acosta. Has he fought Pavlich before? Because I don't know if he has. I didn't see it. Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. So Pavlich, that's his loss 2 fights ago. He beat Spivak. He beat Ante Delia. In that mix. I mean, you've got to put him somewhere up in there in that top by exactly where Sergey Pavlich is. So if I go through this and I go into the rankings here, who could I have Cortez Acosta fight? I mean, he's going to be ranked up there pretty high. So you got Cortez Acosta. He's number 6 right now. I mean, you don't want to have him fight Almeida. He'll get just taken down and probably held down. Do you give him a Curtis Blades? Do you give him a Volkov? Is that who you give him? I mean, that's, something you can do. Volkov is a very dangerous fight, tall, long. He's very difficult for everybody because he's so tall and long. That's a fight to possibly make. I could see that happening. Degenerate Combat Sports Podcast. Thanks for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, then you've got Cortez Acosta. I had him against Sergey Pavlich, but I could see him maybe bumping up and say, hey, we're going to do you a solid. He's fought 5 times, I think, this year, some astronomical amount of times. He's fought, he fought what, twice in the last, 30 days or 15, 18 days. So UFC loves that, especially a heavyweight that'll fight. That's unheard of. Heavyweights are like, oh, if I fight one time and then you won't see them for like 8 months. They go back to their kitchen and just start eating, start getting heavy. Put their bulk season is right after the fight ends. So jealous of heavyweights, man. Hated it, man. We go to autograph signings when Strikeforce merged with the UFC, and I go to autograph signings with DC. I fucking hated it. I'm cutting weight, like, signing autographs, taking pictures, dieting down, can't eat shit. I'm eating, all clean. This dude's eating chicken wings, snacking on like he's got cookies and shit, drinking mojitos. I was like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, this is just how I eat. Fucking heavyweights. Hated them. Absolutely hated them. But then you've got with Cortez Acosta, I put him against Volkov probably. Do him a solid. He's an active fighter. Volkov, very dangerous fighter, fun fight. It's going to be a stand-up fight. Volkov's not going to try to take him down. And then what do you do with Gadziev? I say you have him fight Ante Delia. That's a fight to make. Ante Delia and him would be a great fight. Let them get after each other and see. Now, the fight that really, to be honest, there's a couple different ways I can go with this. Horiguchi welcoming himself back. He's not a debuter. He's been in the UFC before. He's fought for the flyweight title before against DJ. Came up short. Fantastic fighter. Went off, won the Bellator title, won the One Championship title, the Ryzen title. Pretty much been champion everywhere he's ever went. The one thing I want you guys to remember, though, when you talk about Horiguchi, is that all those places he went, he was fighting guys that are 135, 140 pounds, maybe even bigger. In Bellator, we didn't have a 125-pound title. He was the champion at 135. And then Ryzen bought his contract, and he went over and fought in Ryzen for a bit. It was like a swap kind of trade where he could fight in both promotions. This guy is so damn good. And it pains me to say this because Ulanbekov is a teammate of mine, like someone I helped when he was younger. Love watching him. Train. Love training with him. Love watching him fight. And I say this with a heavy heart, is that he needs to go to 135. And I know that's Umar's division, but I don't think he's killing himself to make the weight. And in his last couple fights, he literally just starts getting tired because I think the weight cuts are getting to him. And I could see physically on his face that he is he's maturing, he's physically filling out as a man, like a full-blown, like he's a man now. And it's going to be more difficult for him to continue to make this weight. So for me with Ulanbekov, I think he needs to go to 135. I think that's what he needs to do. It's frustrating because I know that he's got the talent to go ahead and make a run. I just don't know if he can get there to the top, because these guys in that division, they're they're running around and they've got an endless cardio. And if you're tired by a round and a half, there's no way you're going to beat these guys as the fight goes on. All they have to do is learn how to survive. He's cutting too much weight, or he's just not physically keeping his weight down in between camps, and then it makes it more difficult as he gets closer to the fight, which sucks. Now, in terms of Horiguchi, look, he's been away from the UFC for 9 years. Comes back, has a great performance against, I believe, Ulanbekov was number 9 or number 10. Yeah, and if I was to match him up against anybody, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to get him? Because time is working against him. He is a little bit older, still fast, still has power, still very talented. I think what you do with him is Horiguchi, you take him right to the top, and he fights Brandon Moreno. Him and Brandon Moreno would be a fantastic fight. Slugfest, speed, size of Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno is a lot bigger than Horiguchi. But the speed of Horiguchi is going to be very difficult for Brandon Moreno. So talented, so good. Who's this said? Ryan. Was it Ryan? Who's this? Horiguchi gets a title shot, is what I just read. Yeah. Ryan 6591. I wouldn't give him a title shot now. I'd probably have him fight the loser of Joshua Van and Pantoja. Bless me. I get allergies during this time of year. Oh man. But yeah, I would have him fight the loser of that. Can you think about this though? Him and Joshua Van would be probably one of the greatest fights in UFC history. It would be great if it was for the title. But I think what you do is you have to give him one more fight, at least. And the only reason why I only say one is because he is extremely talented, man. He's been there before, and he's been a winner everywhere else he goes. He's already been proven. And when he's already been proven, I think you give him that chance. He beat. Because he beat Ulanbekov, and he beat him convincingly. You give him somebody in that top 2 or 3. Who's in that top 2 or 3 in this division? Joshua Van's fighting for the title next. I give him number 2, Brandon Moreno. I think Roy Vall, I think he's injured or he's out for a little bit. I'm not sure. I thought I heard that somewhere. I don't think you give him Albazi. You could, I guess. I mean, you could. Him and Manel Kopp would be a good fight, but is that a big enough jump that warrants a title shot next? If he beats Kopp? Because Kopp hasn't been very active lately. So where do we go with that? I'm trying to get Horiguchi to do a title shot as quick as I can, because if I'm the promotion, I'm thinking to myself, I've got a former Bellator champion. I've got a former Ryzen champion. I can sell that. Yeah, I would agree with you right there, Dave and Chatri. I would agree. Kyoji Horiguchi and Manel Kopp, absolutely, I think, a barn burner of a fight. And if Joshua Van loses, you give him Joshua Van. Because Joshua Van's going to fight here in a couple of weeks. Once that fight happens, Horiguchi will be ready to fight. You could probably get that fight in sometime around like when Ramadan's going on, around February, March. You could probably get that fight in around that time. Both those fighters will be willing to fight at that time. Get him that win as a top guy, because Joshua Van is number 1. He's ranked number 1 right now. He's fighting for the title next. That is a fantastic fight. Horiguchi and Kopp. I believe they've already fought though too before. Let me research that. Somebody have any information on that? Let me know in the comments. Did they already fight? Yeah, see right here. Someone says right here, Chad. I can't read it. Man, you guys, I got to figure out how to make your guys' names bigger. Kopp, it says Kopp has already lost to Horiguchi. I believe he lost in the Ryzen tournament, I believe, to him a long time ago. They should bring back Mokaev. But Mokayev's he's just got to have to make some changes in terms of how he handles his business. This goes back to Dana and Francis Ngannou. If you're difficult to deal with, they're just going to let you go, man. Yeah. So if is Angelo bald, I'm going to have him take his hat. Jimmy Dean, I'm going to have him take his hat off. Like, no, he's not bald, but he's pretty damn close. He's almost bald. It's not, I like to give him a hard time and say, it's not hair loss, man. It's facial gain. Pretty soon he'll just be all face. Just this big ass face goes all the way back. Give him a hard time. Oh man. I think that's the fight to make. You go Horiguchi versus Moreno, or you have him jump right to fighting the loser of Joshua Van and Pantoja. I think those are the fights to make. Definitely some big fights. If he's already beat Cop, nah, I'm good. I'll pass then. But I do think that would be a kind of a fun fight. And it was years ago. That was a long time ago when they fought. You know, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer here where we were at here. Dun, dun, dun. Diego Degenerate, where we at? Degenerate Combat Sports Podcast is right here. Charles Jourdain versus Alexander Topuria. Look, my thoughts, that's a great fight. Absolutely a great fight. Can Jourdain sustain or take the power? Can he handle the power? That's the question. I just don't know. You know, I'm not sure. Can he handle the power? Who knows? But the fight that I had marked for, I have a couple fights for Topuria because he's mainly a boxer. Very little kicks. He's still, to me, when I saw him last night, he still looks a little green. But do I want to get him in that ranking so we can start talking about him more and start, you know, and he can start being more in the spotlight along with him and his brother? That's a huge marketing tool. So what I would do is I would go right to someone like a Rob Font. Because if it's going to be boxing for boxing, I mean, I could see him fighting Rob Font. Rob Font's not super fast. He's got power. Can Topuria take the power? Is he ready for Rob Font? That's the question. You know, and if it's not going to be Rob Font, how good is Topuria's wrestling? Alexander Topuria's wrestling, how good is it? Because if it's not great, I could have him fight Marcus McGee as well, who's got power and a little bit of wrestling, good grinder. That fight will push. But in terms of straight viewership and fun, I love what you're talking about with the Charles Jourdain Degenerate Combat Sports Podcast. I love what you're talking about. I love the Jourdain fight. You're not doing Jourdain any favors, but you are giving Topuria a chance to rise up and fight a name. I was going to take him one step further and give him Rob Font. Rob Font is basically just turned into a straight boxer now. Very little kicks. Doesn't kick a whole lot. Definitely doesn't wrestle. He's just an anti-wrestler. Topuria can wrestle. He's got good power in his hands. Defensively, he's not as sound as his brother. Defensively on the feet. And I think he'll get more sound as he gets more comfortable inside the cage. I saw a lot of overreaction from some of the punches last night. And I think a lot of that was because he wasn't the faster fighter. So that makes it more difficult. You've got to anticipate the shots coming. Those are things to keep in mind. Hey guys, if you guys have any more questions, any more super chats, hit me up. Let me know. I'm going to wrap this thing up here in about 3 minutes. Go ahead and drop your questions in and we'll go ahead and get to them. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for tonight. Also, tomorrow, I have an interview lined up. That show will drop tomorrow night. And then we've also got our live chat. We're going to try and do it earlier on Tuesday. It is Thanksgiving week, so everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, please. I'm going to say it again on Tuesday. I'm going to say it again tomorrow in the show that I film and I record, and then we drop later in the evening. It is Thanksgiving and the holiday weekends. Please do not drink and drive. I ask you guys, please, seriously, just do not drink and drive. Uber, do whatever you guys can. And please, it's just one of those things that I really am passionate about. It's very important that you guys don't drink and drive. Call a driver, call your wives, call your husbands, do whatever. Like, get a ride wherever it is you need to go, and and call an Uber or a Lyft, whatever it is. But hey, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. What did you guys think of my breakdowns, though? While we're here, what did you guys think of the breakdowns? Go ahead, talk to me, Goose. Got another super chat here from I can't see. Sorry. Most usernames are taken. Yeah, most usernames are taken. Okay, most new usernames are taken. Does Islam and Team Khabib bring in sparring partners to mimic their opponents, or do they just rely on their team of Dagestan? They just rely on their team of Dagestan. You have to remember that a lot of them have different styles. Just because they're from Dagestan doesn't mean that they can wrestle. They all have a wrestling base, but a lot of them, like you look at Umar and Usman, they trained at another gym. They didn't train as much with Habib's father. And that was more of a, they trained at like more of a Taekwondo style gym, more of a kickboxing gym. They had good takedown defense. A lot of what they learned submission wise, grappling wise, came later on in their career. They had a wrestling base. If you're from that area, you wrestle. So they had a wrestling base. So they bring people in? They don't need to bring people in. They just use what they have available to them. If they have to go up in weight a little bit, then those sparring partners, I don't want to say take it easy on them, but they work with them. They definitely work with them. Chanko don't wrestle. Chanko does wrestle. I wrestled with him last week or 2 weeks ago. He can wrestle, man. The guy can wrestle. He's fucking fantastic. He's physically very strong, by the way. Extremely strong. And he's just fun. He's got a great personality. I have Drew, by the way, Ryan 6591. I've got Drew Dober coming on Tuesday night. We're going to have him on. We're going to do a live show. I believe we're going to do it earlier, 7:30. We'll do it probably 7:30 Central Time, so 8:30 East Coast time. Normally we do it later, like an hour later. I'm going to try and do it a little bit earlier this year. Angelo will be on the show, and so will Drew Dober. We'll have the two of them on. Have some fun, man. I love Drew Dober, by the way. I'm a little jealous. He's got a better jawline than I do now that I'm 50 years old. But yeah, Chanko is the man. Good dude. Very good dude. I've got another super chat here that I'm going to get to. Here we go. Thanks for the super chat. I've got Zaskis 81 Zaskis. Yeah, 814. Josh, love the pod. Rank these welterweights in teams or in terms of mediocrity for a title fight at 170. Gary, Shavkat, Morales, Pratis, Kamaru, and also why. All right, so if I put them in direction, okay, let me rank them for you guys. I give love to the people that did it before us. So I understand, because I've had this conversation with Islam when I was there. I understand why he wants to fight Kamaru Usman. There's legacy there. You have Dana White running around saying that he's the welterweight GOAT and he's the greatest of all time in the welterweight division over GSP. I don't have him above GSP. I have GSP ahead of him. And that's not a dig at my boy Kamaru Usman, man. I love Kamaru Usman. I've had him on the podcast. Absolutely a great guy. Absolutely love the guy. I watch his pod him and Henry's pod every once in a while. Good dudes, man. They're funny guys. But I rank him, if I'm going to give somebody a shot right now, I'm going to give it to him first. Until the dust settles, I'm going to give Kamaru Usman his due. Also, the reason why I give Kamaru Usman his due is because stylistically, he is a very tough fight for Islam. And when a fighter has done everything that the company has asked him to do in Islam, he's done everything and lived up to every expectation. When he calls for a fight against Kamaru Usman because of legacy, like because this guy is being called the GOAT by Dana White, I want to take that from him You fighters at this level, they're motivated by those things. You saw it with John Jones when he decided that he didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall's got a couple fights in the UFC. Nothing doesn't do anything for me. But Alex Pereira has done so much in his 4 years here in the 2 titles. There's more in beating him than there is beating Tom Aspinall. I could understand. I've been there. The casual fan at home they don't understand that. Fighters need motivation when you've been doing it this long. They need to know they need to know that the company appreciates what they're doing. Like, look, I've done all this for you over the last 15 years. Give me some love. Give me the fight that I'm asking for. So it'll be for me, it'd be number 1, Kamaru Usman. And this is in the welterweight division. I'm not talking about Ilia Topuria. To me, the number 1 fight I'd love to see would be the Ilia Topuria fight at 170. That's the number 1 fight I'd love to see. I just don't know if it's going to happen because if Ilia wins, what do you do? He's too small for the weight class, that kind of thing. Or is he? That kind of thing. I don't know. But bottom line is, I'd love to see that fight. But Kamaru Usman, to me, is number 1. Then Morales is number 2. He's undefeated, and I can sell it. And he's active. That's where I'm at on this. He's an active fighter. You take the guy who's active. Like, look, you could say Shavkat, but Shavkat hasn't fought in like 18 months or something. It's been a long time. His last fight was his win over Ian Gary. That was a long. Ian Gary's got, I think, 3 fights or 2 fights since then. That's a year's worth of work normally. So I take Michael Morales because he's undefeated. He's huge for the weight. He made Sean Brady look like they were 3 weight classes different. He was enormous. So that's the fight that I look. I look and I say, hey, Kamaru Usman number 1, Michael Morales number 2, and Shavkat would be number 3. I'm writing these down as we go because these are fights that I'm also want to pitch on these to Drew Dober on Tuesday night. I want to talk to him. And I'm talking to a media guy tomorrow. We're going to do an interview. And I have all these questions I want to ask him from a media's perspective. I want to know a media journalist's perspective on where they think this should all go, where this should all be. They write their pieces and fans are supposed to watch. I want to know directly. I want to talk to them and have a conversation. Can they put it down and can they put it verbally out to everyone on why they think they should do certain things? So I'm looking forward to talking with him tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in. It'll probably drop tomorrow night sometime. That or it'll drop early Tuesday morning for you guys. But I think we'll probably try to drop it Monday night. Look, I'm trying to get as much out as I can for you guys during the holidays because I know there's not a lot of things to talk about. I think this holiday season will be a lot different though. Because what they're doing is they are trying to hold off on announcing any fights for January, February for CBS and Paramount until after their pay-per-view, or they'll use that platform to announce their last pay-per-view, or to announce on their last pay-per-view what their next shows are going to be. They're going to wait. They don't want to take away from everything. They want to announce all the good stuff on their last pay-per-view for ESPN so they get as many big numbers as they possibly can. That's what they want to do, which is smart. They don't want to like slap the ESPN in the face. They want to say, hey, like we appreciate everything you've done for us, ESPN, but obviously we're moving on, and hopefully they move on amicably and they can make it work. I think that, but I look at, to go back to what we were talking about, the welterweight division, I look at it and I think to myself, Shavkat would be next. Who else did you have on there? Then I'd put Ian Gary. Ian Gary would be 4th in line. Yep. And then I put Pratis would be last. Pratis has a loss to Ian Gary. Ian Gary has a loss to Shavkat. Michael Morales is undefeated. And Kamaru Usman is considered by Dana to be the GOAT of the welterweight division. You got to put respect on his name, man. People are always washed. He can still wrestle, and he didn't look too washed against me when he fought Buckley. I know you guys keep it positive. I get it. Like, by the way, none of this is written in stone. You and I are just talking. We're just talking. So I'm having a conversation with you guys about this. Is it Ding Dong or Dingo Dong? Dingo Ding Dong 82. Hey man, I think a lot of us miss Big John. I talk to him all the time. I talked to him yesterday. Like I said, I think John will eventually work his way back, but it'll be probably like a year or two. He wants to go ahead and try and do his reffing for right now, and he's got some things going on. He's also helping a lot with some rule changes that are coming. He's also got some things that he's working on in terms of his refereeing, his rule changes. He's also helping with some of this Aliak stuff going for the Zuffa boxing. So there's a lot going on, and I think it's good for him to be involved in those things because he was such a big part of the sport when it first started. Ding Dong, what is it? Ding Dong 82. What's my favorite restaurants in San Jose? So mine was in Saratoga, and that restaurant was called Heroes Ranch. Really good steak place. There's a nice little pasta place right next door to it called Flowers. The two of them are owned by the same person, a good friend of mine. Fantastic restaurants. Those two spots right there at the top of Saratoga, downtown, beautiful spots to eat. Take a date, have some fun. Yeah, those are Josh's favorite restaurant is Taco Bell. And I haven't had Taco Bell in years. My son loves Taco Bell though. It's funny that you guys say that. All right, guys. Well, hey, I want to thank you guys so much. I feel like there was something else we were just chatting about. Dun, dun, dun. Who knows? All right. Well, hey, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank you guys so much. And we're going to wrap this thing up. And that's my who's next. That was very long-winded. We got off track several times because that's just what I do. But look, I'm going to go back through it. Armand should fight Ilya next. I've got Dan Hooker fighting Saint Denis or Moicano. That's a great call out by Hooker, though, is to fight Moicano. I like the Saint Denis fight also. You got Ian. I think Ian Gary should fight either Usman or JDM. The JDM fight really does intrigue me. A really good fight. Really good fight. Bilal should fight Sean Brady again in a rematch. So they can kind of get one of those two guys a win. They also stay in that top 5, top 6 contender spot. Or he should fight Joaquin Buckley. I'd like to see that fight. Explosive, shorter in stature. We'll bring the exchanges. And you got Volkan Ozdemir fighting Zhang. I think that's a good fight. Zhang is ranked number 15 right now. Volkan Ozdemir will have to fight down in the ranking, but I think it's stylistically big for a very good fight. Menefield will have to fight Johnny Walker. I think they fought twice before. One was like a no contest or a draw, or I don't know, something like that. I thought they fought before, but the Johnny Walker fight intrigues me. Oralbai, I think you put him in that top 15, having a great win over a 85 title contender that's dropping down to 70 to the welterweight division. He knocks him out. I think you put Oralbai against D-Rod. Going to be a great fight, great exchanges on the feet, a little bit of grappling, a little bit of wrestling. D-Rod's got good enough takedown defense, I think, for Oralbai, and Oralbai is someone who is not afraid to stand and trade. They could end up making like a slobber knocker of a fight out of this. So I put him there. Jack Hermanson, why not? If he's going to stay at 170, I put him against Gunnar Nelson. Let's see if Gunnar, I haven't seen Gunnar in a while. Get him out of Ireland or get him out of wherever he's at. Hey, man, get back in the cage. Let's see you fight. That's a fight that I'd like to see. I can see maybe a Ponzinibbio fight also with Hermanson and Ponzinibbio. That would make for a good fight. You got Cortez Acosta. I said Sergey Pavlovich, but then I remembered that they just fought two fights ago and he lost. He could try to get that one back, but I think you probably have him fight someone like Volkov. Volkov's not going to try to take him down. You don't want to put him against someone like an Almeida. You put him against Almeida, he's going to take him down. He's going to dominate him. It's going to be boring, possibly. No submissions, no finish. It could be that style of fight. And Cortez Acosta is someone who's very fun to watch. Very fun. And he's very active. If you're the UFC, you want to build that person up. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And then where am I at now? I've got Gaziev, Ante Delia. Ante Delia coming off of a loss. Gaziev coming off of a loss. Have that fight happen. Let's just see. That's a good fight. Cortez Acosta beat both of them in his last 2 fights. Let the 2 guys that lost to him fight each other. One of them's got to get a win. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Ryan G6591. Did Gunnar Nelson retire? I wasn't sure if he was still in the UFC or not. I was just thinking like he's mainly a grappler. He's not going to strike a whole lot. And Hermansson's mainly a grappler who shouldn't be striking a whole lot. And I'd like to see that fight. And if it's not going to be him, then I could see maybe like a Ponzinibbio. If Jack Hermansson's going to stay at 170, I'd like to see him fight Ponzinibbio or Gunnar Nelson. Horiguchi should only be fighting the top 3-4 guys. So for me, it's the loser of Joshua Van and Pantoja, or it is Brandon Moreno. Those are the guys that I like to see him fight. The speed of Horiguchi, his ability to get in, get out without taking any damage. Fantastic fighter. He's like a shot in the arm to that weight class. And I think if you bring Mokaev back, that really spruces up that division. It really does. So it would be fun to see Horiguchi get that fight. He fights the loser of Joshua Van and Pantoja, or he fights Brandon Moreno. One of those fights. And then you got Ulanbekov. I think he needs to go to 135. The weight cut is killing him. Have him fight someone like a Kyler Phillips. See how he does against somebody like that. Kyler Phillips got good takedown defense, a little bit of grappling, good stand-up. Ulanbekov's got good wrestling. I think the weight cut is destroying him right now. He just looks so tired after, a round and a half. He's done. Fatigue doesn't set in until you go back to your corner. Once you go back to your corner, you're like, you realize, damn, I'm tired. My arms are not moving. Shit, I can't move. This is horrible. And then it just sets into your mind, and then you go out there and nothing works. It's horrible. It's really horrible. I think without the weight cut, I think he'll be a lot better of a fighter. We're seeing it a lot lately. Fighters that are going up in weight and fighting their normal weight, after sucking down all that, they have better performances. Now, I'm not saying he can make a run at 135. I'm just simply saying that it'd be good for him to probably be in that weight class. So he's not killing himself. And then you've got Topuria. Obviously, we have to talk about him being Ilya's brother. Very similar styles. And I think the fight for him is you put him against Rob Font or you put him against Marcus McKee. Those are the fights that I think should be coming off of this card. Those are the fights to make next. Who's next? What's next? Those are the ones that I have. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time, man.